Danglaufet Frau Vingaron, Harmonik, Tofnar, Nalgofadig. Mer, give me mer, give me mer. Mulit och kvill med haltag har hockey hinna bara att komma kring. Mer, give me mer, give me mer. What's up, everybody? Give me a second to put this stuff down, get my notes up, and we can start the episode. Hope everybody liked that. That was the Old Norse cover of Fever Ray Vikings, If I Had a Heart. Pretty good stuff. I would suggest going to Cole McGinnis's channel, checking out basically everything he's got. It's amazing. It's pretty good. Check it out. And yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. It took me a long time, but I finally pulled that off. I've just been sitting here practicing. It's a good warm-up. And I can finally say this without crying. Most of the miscarried manatee babies came from my area. It's higher than it's ever been. I'm sorry, babies. You deserve better. And the spinning death fish syndrome is back for the second year in a row. And it is what it is, you know, that's what's been going around here. It's just sad. It's very sad. But 1,000% credit to Governor DeSantis for chasing out pedophile, pornographer, sex trafficker, kidnapper, woman abuser, groomer, Andrew Tate. Credit where credit is due, DeSantis. You did good on that one. So it's one thing to highlight the Zionist connection to the music industry and how it grooms vulnerable young black men into loving gang and hustle culture. That's reasonable. It's another to say you're fighting the good fight while parroting propaganda from porn-sick internet addicts. I've been on that before, but you gotta understand, like, there's really not some grand conspiracy to breed all the white people with black people. Doesn't make any sense. There's no benefactor there. What it is psychological warfare. It's trying to demoralize you, and ultimately, what it boils down to is cherry picking, manufacturing consent for things like racism to divide people, conquer people, and then institute the exact things that you see today. And I have a little sympathy with the people that say the United States wasn't the good guys, but I have no sympathy for the people that say that Nazi Germany was the good guys. Come on, guys. Get it together. You got to do your studies. You got to learn some things before you start talking on that so authoritatively. It's just basic history. Just basic history. There are so many young Hispanic men who are like, "Hey, Hitler, man, most gonna make us all rich, amigo." There's so many of them. It's got to be like 50% of them. For real. Like, come on. Oh, I've seen the future, and it is a bunch of Latinos role-playing as Visigoths and encomienda heads, and that's no hate to some of my friends out there that do the same, but like, come on, guys. That's role-playing. What you really are is an American, whether it's North, Central, or South, and what you really got to start acting like is an American. Trump's acting like a real American right now. He's trying to prevent war with Iran and the Israelis, trying to prevent war with Russia and Ukraine. And as I said before, like 25 episodes or so ago, we as Americans are global shepherds, whether you like it or not. And we can either abuse our livestock or we can actually grow and amend the farm and make things better. Those are our options. I've never wore masks for COVID, like 1 or 2 times because I was forced to. But I'm considering wearing them in the future to avoid dementia from the aluminum oxide aeration the South African swindlers' satellites burning up in the atmosphere is producing. Apparently, there was a peak where he was sending them up, but like right now, the peak where they're knocked out of the sky is 150 a month. Insane. And like, I've been saying this for a while, it's kind of a waste to put up so many satellites that just get buffered down by EMPs from the sun, coronal mass ejection, sunspots, etc., which we're at a solar maximum. You couldn't choose a worse time. But it's another thing to do it in the process. In the process, you're tearing holes in the ozone. Now, there's also the slight chance that there's like a 40-5D-40 chess game going on where they're trying to thin the ozone out to let out some of the gases again. And they could try to repair it, but I don't trust a lot of these people to repair anything that they utilize, that they extract from. Just saying, a lot of them don't got the track record. It's great that the previous corrupt order is falling and all, but we can try not to kill everything in the process. Can we? Can we? I think we can try. Please. So, here's how growth works, right? Life first finds forms in single cells. Single cells arrange themselves into strings. So, go from, amoebas to bacterias. Pretty simple. Not that amoebas directly turn into bacterias. That's all part of the process by which complexity is formed. Growth. Strings fork. Membranes form. You get the golden ratio. Our lungs look like trees. Our brains look like walnuts. It's pretty cool. And membranes form. And in the macro, guilds give birth to cooperating members, collaborating. This network archetype is shared over orders of magnitude. Mycelium, neurons, cosmic filaments, the internet, and much, much more share this successful model over eons and throughout eternity. That's Paul Stamets, the mushroom researcher. Maybe quoting somebody else, maybe coming up with that after a mushroom trip, but that is actually scientifically solid. Even if you don't want to believe it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe everything that other people say. I encourage everybody to do their own research and find out stuff the way that they want to find out about it. Just one thing you cannot do is believe something just because you want to. Like, instincts is one thing, but you can't believe something just because it's the most comfortable option available. You got to survey. See, that's what's cool about like modern political chart centrism and stuff like that. Surveying stuff all over the place, putting them on a graph, Getting some statism going on, getting some statistics going on. I'm not sure if I used the word statism right, but that's encouraged. Like Ro Khanna, probably the best politician that California has seen in 30 years. He's a great graph guy, great statistical guy, and he's one of the most reasonable Democrats of all the Democrats. Ro Khanna, North California secessionism. Who said that? Body cams have done so much to reduce police brutality. They keep officers safe from corruption too, but now people can see, and there's a lot of corrupt police departments that are working on trying to get those body cams as opaque as possible, and like just straight up shutting them down, saying, we got a budget issue. Bro, you got like 40 Stutz Bearcats over there. Those are all running on F550 engines, man. What the heck are you doing? You could sell some of those. I hear they're unionizing at the ball crushing factory. If I get my balls crushed for a living, I'd want dental too. So, good for them. Not much of a labor guy myself, but I can see a lot of good unions out there, like the Auto Workers Union, the Electrical Brothers Union. As I said, guilds give birth to cooperation. It's important. Or at least they encourage cooperation, right? Right. It's like all the way back to tribalism. You gotta know who you stand with, and then you can march in the right direction. And then like an Etruscan warrior, you can synchronize your poops. All right, everybody, synchronize your poopies. Really, ancient world fighting, ancient world military, be like that, though. You really do. You really do. People are probably wondering why I said that wrestling is more kino and better than the new James Bonds and the Jack Reacher crap, which is crap. I'm a big fan of James Bond when I was growing up, right? Then I come of age and I realize, oh, this is just CIA propaganda, but at the same time, credit where credit is due, that's some kino. Reacher is very sloppy. I wouldn't even call it slop kino, which is its own special Venn diagram-centered category. It's just slop, And that's the thing, is wrestling takes so much more concentration compared to how the lighting, the editing, and multiple shots aid in action movies. And, like, especially, like, the angles of stuff. Everybody is surrounded in the wrestling theater, so people have to be as good in the entire role of their entire act as possible from start to finish, like they're on a stage. And it takes a tremendous stage presence that movies don't require. Straight up, simulacra versus stage presence. It's that simple. It seems like our more benign and benevolent trading partners in South Korea and Japan are not getting tariffs. That's great. I love those guys. But at the same time, because I love those guys, Koreans deserve to breathe clean air. Seoul has the worst air quality in the world, and it's a lot because of the Beijing coast, is actually blowing a lot of stuff from their factories over to the edge. But Seoul, it still has so much electronics manufacturing that, like, the air is toxic and metal. It's like Elon Musk's final solution to the entire world making fun of him is, like, turn everything into CO with a bunch of metals in the air. I don't. People wear masks constantly there, but you listen to a woodwind or brass or singing concert in South Korea. And if you get the right recording, after they're done doing their performance, they're just coughing. All of them are just hacking up a lung, and that sucks, man. I don't want to see the world like that. I really, really don't. And Trump unleashing the logging industries on our old growth forest is going to screw us real bad in the future. But him going over Netanyahu's head to negotiate peace in the Middle East is great. Him putting Zelensky in his place is great. Like, we don't want World War III, and he doesn't want World War III. And Biden was like death drive jumping right into the canyon, the Death Valley of Netanyahu's disgusting long-term plans. And, Zelensky, who already ruined Ukraine from the inside out. And it's sad to see. Sad to see. Like, if Zelensky was a legitimate leader, he would call for elections, but he's using emergency powers of declared wars just the same as Netanyahu is using emergency powers to stave off investigations that are trying to come down on him from the court systems of Israel. And those aren't legitimate leaders, and Trump is legitimately, fed up. I think his patience is genuinely over with that. It doesn't mean he's not still giving them, like, a bunch of money, but less, significantly less. As I said, it literally, like, dropped from 20 billion to 1 billion. Like, it's a 20-to-1 ratio reduction in the amount of money that Biden was giving them compared to the amount of money that Trump's giving them. So that's good. Just those 100 million acres of old growth forest, that's like most of the old growth forest that we have left. And it is so important to maintaining the health of our area. Like, Dallas just recently experienced like a new dust bowl, a new consequence of the surrounding actions, and like all the air just being filled with dust and everything being obscured, and that's going to kill crops. That's what happened with the Dust Bowl. Killed crops, and then as the plants that got covered up with the dust died, the ground slowly started to die as well, as it is amended by the plants growing there. Unless it's factory farmed to an extreme degree, which is what caused the Dust Bowl, Woodrow Wilson factory farming all of our stuff to an extreme degree, drying up a tremendous amount of water in the general area, and that just obliterated large portions of America and caused massive famines and deaths. History is kind of a flat circle in a way. The Texasification of our nation is here, thanks to the queers in our president's ear. Musk and Malay are shouting hip hip hooray. Our jobs as evil golems are easy today. Gotta write that one down. Prepare for the worst guy in your town to come back from obliterating centuries of health and wealth with a fat overtime check to spend on more supernova headlights and even higher lift kits. I'm sorry, but that's where it's going. It's not going to the long-term health and wealth and well-being and success and exploration and growth. Not that there's anything left to explore of our nation. And NASA is continuing to explore into the universe, but their checks have been significantly stunted compared to the tremendous amount of money Musk gets to just jack himself off constantly. Pardon the nasty. But he's gotta find a way to mail his seed to his baby mamas somehow, because apparently he doesn't have sex. That's legitimately like what's been reported from like all of his baby mamas. He does not have sex. He does in vitro fertilization, and apparently this is why I call him a eunuch, because he's like a legitimate eunuch. Apparently he went through like this penile surgery, which is something a lot of billionaires get. There was an Israeli diamond seller that got a penile surgery that died on the operating table because he was like 86. But apparently that permanently gave him erectile dysfunction. I do not wish that on anybody, by the way. And I'm not making fun of Musk for that, but it explains his, And with the drugs, a good example was how clearly, if you know drug people, say you grew up in Florida, you know what it looks like. Clearly at the Republican convention, was it CPAC? He was messed up. And somebody even got a picture of him lowering his glasses, and it's just purple. It's like huge pupils, dinner plates, just completely and utterly 3 sheets to the wind. So that's the guy controlling 70% of our government right now, while Trump legitimately talks to people and tries to help people increase the morale of our country and prevent World War III. That's what's going on right now. Anarchy was always something to fear. The universe has an inherent order that must be respected. Protestants be like, but what if we throw the baby out with the bathwater? Because pagan Catholicism, used to be something that it wasn't. And you gotta throw away all this old stuff, get the new stuff. That's Protestantism. And I hate to say it, that's the founding core principle of Protestantism, even though Martin Luther was just like, well, we're going to keep most of it. John Calvin was like, well, we're going to throw away all of it. Every bit of it. It's going to be replaced with modernity. And that itself, when it melded with the Mongols, who were anti-authoritarian, destructuralists, being hyper-traditional and all, when that philosophy melded with the Mongols in Germany, you get communism. And it also mingled with a lot of that Hegel's and Kant and all that. It is what it is, that's the real history of it. I encourage all of you to study the history and find your own opinions on that. I don't pour my soul into the fat phylactery, but I'm pretty sure I gained 3 pounds before Lent. Yeah. It's wild reminiscing on my memories, right? 9 out of 10 times, I'd show up out of sheer providence, become one of the most productive people in the zone. Not joking. Not trying to, overplay it. I'm serious. Become one of the most productive people, if not the most productive person in the zone. And end up leaving within like 3 or 4 years. That's kind of always how it's gone. And I'm endeavoring not to make that with the church, because in the church, there's just so many good people. And like, I am definitely not one of the best people in my church, even though I try to help as much as I can. And that's never been an excuse, In retrospect, that's always been kind of immature. In retrospect, I wish I was a little bit more respectful of my place in Kiwi Farms, respectful of my various jobs and stuff like that, instead of thinking that I was somehow off to greener pastures or something. I could have combined a lot of stuff into a much, much more rich and fulfilling life. But I didn't. And I've learned. I'm going to keep learning. I encourage you to keep learning as well. My family has always been dangling over the precipice of financial disaster, sometimes slipping and having to catch ourselves on the rocks and struggle back to safety. We're basically upper-lower class. At our best, we were like, when I was like 16, we were like lower middle class, but like for the most period of time, like when my family was being just completely and utterly drained by pharmaceutical companies for putting me on Concerta, one of the better of the ADHD medications, for 7 years, we were upper-lower class. We were struggling. It's one of the reasons why we had to essentially sell our beautiful, nice property in North Carolina that would have accrued a lot more wealth over a period of time. The farm, a big multiple acreage backyard, the shed. Sad to see it, but I'm going to do my best to eke out an existence here in this Florida suburb, even though it feels, at some days, it feels like we're living in Guantanamo. But could always be worse, Gotta keep my head up. I am incredibly blessed, and I have a great life. And I have a wonderful family, and I love them very much. Zoroastrianism is pretty cool. You might know the 3 wise men that met baby Jesus were Zoroastrians. They were Zoroaster princes, in fact. Some people say that they fumbled the bag as the first monotheistic religion, but I think otherwise. Christianity is right. Earth is in a falling state, and to be good is to be hunted and hurt by a burgeoning force. And I think the Zoroastrians knew that, and they could see what was going on in ancient Israel, and they passed it on to this prophesied son of David, Hosanna filio David, benedicto tui qui venit. Hosanna filio David, benedictus. And Jesus fulfilled it so perfectly as a man could. Jesus fulfilled his duty to all mankind. And that's why he sits at the right hand of God. Also, Ahriman is from Zoroastrianism. He gets a cool Warhammer 40k book series. I've read Ahriman Exile like 3 times. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I prefer the preternaturalism of the archetypal space marines over the technicals of the ships and the Astra Militarum and even the Tau. I'm not a big fan of all that, like, pragmatic realism in my fantasy, right? It's cool and all, but I start to fall asleep a little bit when they get on the ships and stuff like that. But hey, some video concepts are just stupid. Like when fat guys eat a bunch of spicy food or choke on Nutella while deliberately spazzing out. That is, that's a grift for people. Okay, he inhaled the hot sauce, and now he's turning red. Or animators defiling familiar concepts with trash animation like Meat Canyon. That is another form of, like, vile, unnecessary art. Which, in the end of the day, still art. Alright, y'all. This is a good episode. I hope that beginning part comes out okay. Alright, everybody. Cheers.